Hey y'all, listen, I am here because I want to talk about Sinners. Y'all know I got a chance to watch the movie. I actually got a chance to watch the movie twice, all right? Um and it was dang near packed out the second time that I went. I went on a Saturday with my husband. I went again on a Monday with my son. And when we got our tickets for that Monday, I'm thinking we doing midday, it's not going to be that many people or whatever. Girl, please, all right. By the time we actually sat in the theater, more and more people started coming in than what was initially listed, because we got our tickets like online, and it was just more and more and more people. I'm like, oh my god, like what y'all doing? Are you on your lunch break? Like, what are you doing? Why are you here? And I have to remember and realize that, everybody ain't working in no office. All right. A lot of people working from home. They know how to get away just a little bit. And, a lot of people just have different careers, entrepreneurs, whatever the case is. Child, them people was in them theaters, period, on a Monday, midday. And you know what? I'm here for it. All right. Obviously, that movie is that compelling that it brought so many people out. And I want us to chat about it. I'm going to be real honest with you. This won't be such a deep review because I don't know all of the layers to this particular film, but I know that there are so many. I've watched so many different people give their takes and stuff about it, and I definitely wanted to come down and just give my overall thoughts and go through a few scenes and just chat about some stuff. And yeah, so if you've seen it, let me know in the comments that you guys have seen it. If you have yet to see it and you're looking forward to seeing it, let me know all of that. This movie is something that's super different for Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. Of course, they've worked together previously, but it's different for the both of them because, of course, Michael B. Jordan is playing more than one character. So that comes with a lot. That comes with a different energy, different personalities, different, just a lot that he has to learn. A lot of reshooting, filming, getting in character, getting out of character. There were a lot of things that needed to take place, for Michael B. Jordan. And when it comes to Ryan Coogler, this was so different because he wasn't like Fruital, I believe, or is it Fruitvale Station? I believe was the first one, when I think the guy ended up getting killed. I think it was at the train station. I can't remember it, but I believe it was based on a true story. And Ryan Coogler directed that one. And then he also went on to do Black Panther, where some, I believe Marvel was heavily involved in. So when it comes to this one, it's like it was really his own idea. Yes, he was able to work with Warner Brothers, but he got like a really good deal from my understanding. Like they gave him money like up front out the gate. And I'm like, shout out to you, boo, for getting that and then being able to own his film after 25 years and stuff, and the film exceeding the way that it is and has is crazy. Y'all, I think they may have another high performing weekend because there are people such as myself that are going to see it twice, thrice, four times, five. I've heard somebody say they have watched this movie for the fifth time, and that's, now whether they telling the truth, I don't know, but I'm telling you that's what I heard. So it must be that good. So I kind of hope that they do get another 40 plus million or even a 30 plus million in sales over the course of this week or this weekend for this film. And I also say that because there was a Variety article that kind of tried to shit on them just a little bit by kind of discounting the success, because I think that they may have put like 90 million into the production of the film, whereas the first weekend I think they ended up getting like 60 million. The first weekend, if it wasn't that, they may have put like 60 million into the film but only achieved like 48 million or something like that. Whatever it was, they weren't far away from meeting the goal for that film, but the way that it was worded and put out there on Variety kind of made it appear as though, it's ways away. They spent this much but they only made this much, so it seems like being able to break even is still ways away. And baby, they dang near broke even the next week when they ended up matching the same amount of sales as they did their opening weekend. And I feel like that's not common for some movies like this, okay? And I'm just really proud of it being this black director starring this black actor, and also just having all these black actors in this film, in addition to, some non-black individuals. Like when I tell you, congratulations, bravo, standing ovation to every single person that was a part of this film. And just go ahead and put this out there. I enjoyed the film, but if you're a person that's, a Christian, and you may, have some issues with it, then this may not be the video for you. And I don't even know honestly why you clicked on the video, because this won't be a video of me bashing the film. Okay. So that's that on that. All right. I don't know a lot of details about this film. I did see some interviews where I saw Ryan Coogler talk about it and stuff, and that's how I learned about the 25-year situation and him getting money up front before they even put it in theaters yet. So I'm aware of that, but I saw somebody in the comments mention that they had like a priest, a hoodoo person or something. That was the first time I ever saw it. I didn't see anyone or any interviews where they talked about that because I didn't watch like cast interviews. All right, I didn't do that, but I did come across some clips and things that was on social media. So I watched like brief stuff, but primarily I just wanted to get the reaction of the fans, honestly. So I don't know a whole lot of what took place behind the scenes, what the actors had to do to truly prepare for their roles. So don't know that, but anywho, we're gonna talk about the show, or shall I say the movie, from what all I took some little piece of notes from, and what all I could talk about. All right, so and like I said, it's not gonna be super like, how some people give you like the Easter eggs and stuff in the film. I'm still learning what the Easter eggs are myself, so don't look for that here. All right, first things first, I want us to get into um Sammy. All right, because this guy Sammy is one of the main characters. I feel he pretty much opens up the movie, all right, as he's driving to the church. And when he gets out of the car, actually, before he got out the car, I saw how bloody he was. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, why is he so bloody? Like, what you got going on? Then I see the guitar or, piece in his hand or whatever. And I'm like, now what did you have to beat somebody for your life? And then as he's just walking up, I didn't know what he was gonna do. Okay, because keep in mind, let me tell y'all this. This is how much I don't be knowing for real. Like, I did not really see no promo for this movie. I didn't. Like, I don't, if I did, I must have overlooked it. Like, I didn't even know that Michael B. Jordan had a movie coming out. And it's crazy because I follow him. But on Instagram, you follow so many people and they just don't pop up on your timeline like that. And I didn't know about it until I started seeing people talk more and more about it on Twitter. And that's when I was like, what is this they're talking about? And then, looked into it, kind of wanted to see it, talked to Bondi. Bondi was like, oh, it's really good, you got to check it out, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, like I don't know where I was, honey, but I didn't see that. But all in all, as he's getting out of the car, and he's walking up to this church or whatnot, you hear the people singing. I believe they were singing This Little Light of Mine. I can't remember the song, but I was just kind of like, did you beat somebody with all this blood on you and you got this guitar in your hand? Like, or at least a piece of it? What's going on? Then I thought he was going to use the end of the doggone guitar to go inside the church and start killing the children and stuff. Like, I really did not know what was going on. So when the doors open, then of course, once the doors open, he's standing there. His mom calls out to him. The dad tells her to give it a second, have a seat. His dad is telling him, I told you to, pretty much come to God. You can't be out there doing this sinning stuff. Be out there in the world and things and expect good things to come for you. Like, I need you to promise us that you're going to give up those things. Because one thing about Sammy had a beautiful voice. He loved that guitar that he played with. And yeah, like, he wanted to be out there and be free and just sing his songs and do his thing. He didn't want his life to always consist of having to go to work and then go and preach to the people, having to go home, do this or that. And then, he wanted something different. And I feel like if you're existing in a world like that where your life is so routine, I feel like at some point you are going to want something different. Doesn't mean that he didn't have a relationship with God or believe in God or anything like that. He just wanted to try some other stuff out. But his dad was just like, listen, boy, I don't know if that's something that you really want to do. Okay. So as he's walking up the aisle of the church, coming up to his dad, eventually his dad hugs him. But Sammy is still having these flashbacks to what we didn't know, but it ended up being from the night before. And it was flashes of the demon. Okay, that's what we were getting. So then they flash back to the day prior to kind of show us what was happening. And we see Sammy in the field picking cotton. He makes it home to the family. He's looking under his bed for his guitar, realizes it's not there. So he goes to the church. He's there with his dad. The dad says, yes, I brought that here. I want you to help me preach my sermon. All right. Because dad felt like in order to get you to come into the church, I got to bring something that you desire to the church, which is this guitar. So let me bring it here in the effort to lure you here so that I can see if you'll be interested in, you know what I'm saying, giving the word. So then he asked him to read a scripture. Of course, Sammy reads the scripture. I didn't get his detail to catch what that scripture was, but he reads the scripture and then he's like, all right, Dad, well, I'm going to catch you later. I'm going to go. And then the dad tells him, like, boy, you keep on carrying on like that, the devil going to follow you home. You keep on with that devil worshiping or something, the devil going to follow you home one day or something like that. And he was like, Dad, listen, I spent all day, okay? I even met my quota. Everything I was supposed to do, I got up early just so I could go ahead and meet my quota. I just want to be free for a day. For a day. Can I just please? All right. So he heads out, embarks on a journey, actually outside. What it was his two cousins that were living in Chicago, related to him by way of his dad, right? Because the siblings, they had their dads. Okay, so you had the two brothers, which were played by Michael B. Jordan. I believe it was Elijah and Elias Moore, also known as Stack and Smoke. And I'm gonna get them up on the screen in just a second. But they're related because the twins and Sammy's parents were siblings. All right, so let me go ahead and get them up on the screen. All right. So of course they're played by Michael B. Jordan. When I say y'all, Michael B did a great job. Like, I literally was watching this film and I forgot that they were dang old twins. Like, I mean not twins, but played by a single person. Like, I forgot. I thought that, like, what? I'm thinking these are two different individuals. Like, he did such a great job with these characters that, I mean, they did their thing with it. They did, like, the different facial reactions, the different hand movements, the different ways that they talked, in a sense. Like, it was dope. It was dope. It was dope. It was dope. I understand that they put goals in the mouth of, I believe it was Stack. I think they put goals in Stack's mouth as a way for us to be able to identify them separately. Whereas, like, Stack would wear red, and then you would have a Smoke who would wear the blue, who's more so, like, cool, calm temperature, supposedly, which is interesting because Smoke wore the blue, and I'm thinking he's like the calmer twin, but I felt like I seen Smoke turn up more than I seen Stack turn up. Okay. Um, but anywho, so I just like how everything was just different. Everything, like, and we didn't, even if they didn't, he didn't, even if even if Stack did not have those goals in his mouth, I still wouldn't. It still would have seemed like two different people like that. He just did a great job with that. So of course they're picking him up from the church, and they go and they pick up this truck, right? So this truck has a lot of different, I guess, like, liquor and things that they stole when they was down there in Chicago. Because come to find out, they went up there to work for, I guess, Al Capone of some sort, and then you had two different mafias or whatnot, and I'm gonna say gangs, okay, and they pretty much robbed both of them, and now they're up there beefing with each other, not knowing that the twins that sat up there and stole from them and about to open up a little juke joint and get their own business started down south. Now, these smokestack twins, they have a name that far supersedes them, and not in a great way. Okay, and not in a great way. So, child, this is right up their alley, and it was only a matter of time before some SHI truly went down. But aside from that, so once they pick up this truck, first of all, they were waiting on this white man, okay, and I don't know if it was Hogwarts or something like that, Hogwatt, whatever his name was. They was waiting for this white man. So we get a shot of the twins standing next to a car, and they're passing a cigarette back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I feel like that scene was done deliberately, okay, for us to see them. Like, I don't know what they wanted to give us, but it was looking so authentic. I don't know. First of all, I need to know who I was going to say Jonathan Majors. Ain't that crazy? Not me being able to see Jonathan Majors in this film, but Michael B. Jordan. I need to know who played his photo double, because you ate that. All right, you ate that. Production ate that. Can I be on set, please? All right, I promise I won't say anything. Can I just be on set as you guys are making the magic happen? I promise I could sit in the corner in the back. I could just fade into the background. Okay. I could put on camouflage. I could put on all black, whatever you need for me to just sit in the back and just watch how y'all bring all of this together. Love it. All right. So eventually this white man does pull up, and what they let him know is like, listen, we're trying to buy this old sawmill, right? So they're trying to purchase it. And they asked, I guess like the floors were dirty. So one of the twins was like, y'all clean these floors? And he was like, yeah, well, what was on them? They wouldn't say. I feel like it probably was a slaughterhouse of some capacity. In my personal, I think that's where they may have taken black individuals and murdered them. I think that's where they may have had their whole little whatever they do to kill people. That's where they go, which is so ironic because it ended up being a slaughterhouse before the damn movie was over with. Okay. Now, when they're there, the guy's like, oh, I thought you guys were here to like, actually sell, buy this property. Right. And of course they ended up buying it. They said, listen, we want this property. We want the land that it's on as well as the mill. All right. All of that. We giving you all of this money because we want every single bit of it. And if any of your clan men think they finna come up here on our property at any moment, we're going to blast y'all away, period. Okay. So then the white man was like, huh, what? Why the Klan don't even exist no more? Just haul all out line saying that they don't exist anymore. And then we learned at some point that they do. Okay. So that's what's happening. Once they go pick up this truck and everything, because they ended up showing us that earlier on. So once the guys go pick up this truck, of course they go scoop up Sammy or whatnot. And they had to split up, right? After they got the meal, the whole goal was for them to open up the juke joint that night. And of course, Smoke was like, we don't really got no time. White man kind of threw us behind because he was late. And then Stack is just like, nah, like I still want us to do this. So let's make it happen. Okay. So that's what they do. They had to split up. What was interesting was the snake that was on the truck. Smoke threw the dagger over to, I'm sorry, I keep mixing them up. But Stack threw the dagger over to Smoke, and Smoke ended up killing that snake, which is really interesting because we're going to see a similar situation happen towards the end of the film. Similar to that. And I feel like, honestly, I'm probably going to be going out of order. But of course, we all know if you've been watching the film that Smoke is going to be the one to stab and kill the demon at the end of the movie. But it's like, now I'm wondering, did your brother also hand that off to you? Did Stack give Smoke the dagger that he needed to put in the back of the man, even though he already had the dagger that he was going to kill Stack with and chose not to kill him with? So I guess he went and stabbed the other guy. But let's keep going. So anywho, killed the snake, go off. They both go off. So of course, now you have Stack having to go off and round up people, like some help, people that can man the door, okay? Somebody that can perform, okay? Bring some entertainment to the people because this is going to go down tonight. While Smoke is going down to like the local like area where, they sell goods and stuff or whatever, the little marketplace or whatever. So he's headed down there to go visit some old friends because he's going to need some catfish to feed about 100 people. He's going to need certain things. He needs signs and all of that, right? When he pulls up, he sees this girl. He tells her to come here. So when the girl comes to him, he tells her, listen, I need you to watch my truck and I'm going to pay you. I'm going to give you 10 cents. And she was like, okay, that's fine. He said, no, it's not fine. All right. He's like, whenever we talk in numbers, it should be a negotiation involved. So when I give you a number, you give me a different one. Okay. So I think he said, 50 cent or no, he told her, give me a number. She said 50 cent. And then he gave her another number and she said 20 cents. And he said, okay, whatever. Right. So he goes into the store. He ends up talking to, and that's where we meet these other characters. Okay. So let me get them up on the screen. That's where we meet Bo Chow. I do believe it's his name, as well as Grace Chow. All right. This is husband and wife. They also have a daughter as well. So they go into, or at least Smoke goes into the location, meets up with his good old buddy, sees him, needs a favor from him, needs some catfish and things like that, also needs a sign done by his wife. So in the midst of him talking to this man, the girl blows on the horn. He goes outside and sees that these guys, I guess that he ended up being familiar with, or at least familiar with him, was trying to rob his truck in broad daylight. So baby, the way he shot one of them in their ass was crazy. And then the other one just standing there looking scared. And after a while, he just shoot him in his kneecap, it looked like. I can't have nobody thinking that they actually was finna almost rob the twins. Like, girl, that was crazy. And then the dude was like, he said something to him about what I'm supposed to do. You shot me in the ass. He was like, get on out the street, girl. What I liked was that it gave you fear, like you were scared at times. You definitely got laughs at times, and I'm sure some people probably even got emotional at times, right? So we like movies that can pull different emotions out of us in a good way. So shout out to them for that. Of course, they decide to make the sign for him. and all is well. What I noticed though with the sign situation was when Smoke went to Grace trying to get a sign done, they immediately went into negotiation with each other, and I was just kind of like, so did you teach her how to negotiate as well? Because you just had that conversation with the little girl outside, and you go inside and you do the same thing. So was that like some type of symbolism of saying how we, as much as we may go to the Asians to provide certain things for us, we also teach them things too, or something? I don't know what the correlation was with that, or if there is any at all, but I know that's what I thought about. So that was the situation with that. As they're then we flash back to Stack and Sammy. They're in the car, they're riding. Of course, Sammy still got his guitar. He's loving the guitar, don't ever want to let it go. And actually, you know what? Before then, there was a time where they talked about, no, it was the same time. Stack gives Sammy a story about their dad. Okay. And he pretty much tells him that his dad was very abusive, pretty much. He used to beat up on him more than he beat up on Smoke, and Smoke ended up clapping the brother for him. Right? Because Smoke, I guess he was the oldest and he always wanted to protect Stack or whatever. And of course, they talked about the guitar and stuff, but Stack gave, what's his name? Gave Sammy a completely different story about the doggone guitar and who it came from. He had him thinking it was this famous person's guitar that they won when they were in Chicago or something. The whole time, we learned towards the end of the movie that it actually belonged to their daddy. And I guess he didn't want to, affect him in any capacity because he loved the guitar so much. I guess he didn't want to, like, make him feel no way, because he also gave him the story about his dad not being a great person, which is why once they picked up Sammy, that's why Smoke was asking, how your daddy doing? Your daddy been putting hands on you? Your daddy, what about your siblings or whatever? He's like, nah, mom the one that really do the discipline or whatever. That's because their parents are brothers, and their dad had a history of being abusive with them. So they're questioning whether or not his dad was abusive with them, because it seemed like Smoke ready to smoke somebody, child. That's what they were giving. And Sammy had to let him know, like, hold what you got. Chill, 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 chill. Nah, they don't be on that with me. Okay? They don't be on that with me or whatever. So he's getting the whole spiel about the dad, how abusive he was and stuff. And so, he didn't know this story. So now he's learning the story that, you know, Smoke clapped the daddy. So they pull up to this train station. Once they pull up to this train station, they walk right on up to Delta Slim, baby. Okay, they walk right on up to, what is it, Delroy? But they walk up to Delta Slim, and he's over there playing, I believe, the harmonica and stuff. And that whole scene was a bit funny. It was a bit funny. He basically was trying to get his services for him to come down to the juke joint tonight and, do his thing to be entertainment for the people. Now, also, before they get to the train station, this is when Stack learns how beautiful of a voice Sammy has. So he's shocked, and he's like, oh snap, we're gonna make some money tonight. Okay, with your voice in connection with Delta Slim, oh, we finna make some bread. Okay, so he tries to convince him, and then at first Slim wasn't really going for it because he already had an opportunity, and he's like, yo, I got this beer for you. He let him try the beer. He's like, I'll give you $40. On top of that, I'll turn around and let you get as much beer as you want. And next thing you know, child, he had him up there singing the harmonica while you got Sammy over here playing the guitar or whatever. So it was a funny scene. Meanwhile, Sammy over there is eyeing, honey, Miss Perline. He over there eyeing Miss Perline the whole time. Miss Perline, a married woman, and she over there giving him the eye too. Okay, so she's giving him the eye, and he walks up to her or whatever, and she tried to say that he's a young boy or something like that, and he said that he old enough or he not too young or something, and she tells him, all right, boy, you gonna bite off more than you can chew, baby. He definitely bit off more than he could chew, for sure, before the night was over with. Okay, and I mean that in more ways than one. Okay. So he's trying to get her to come down to the juke joint or whatever later on that night. And she kind of like on some, like, we'll see, honey. Like, I'm a married woman or whatever. He said, happily married. I said, oh, you a messy little young man. That's why your daddy wants you to come back and get into the church. Cause okay. You out of line. So anywho, that's what's happening. Now, in the midst of that, who do we meet? We also meet Miss Mary. Miss Mary, Mac. So this is Miss Mary. And what we learn is that Mary and Smoke, do I have a picture of Smoke yet? So Mary and Smoke, they have a history with each other of some fashion. Okay. So what we learn is that when they were younger, I believe their mom may have died in childbirth or something like that. So, because I could have sworn Mary said something about her mom breastfeeding them, which was like interesting. And y'all like correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn she said something about breastfeeding her mom. She either said she damn near breastfed them or she breastfed them. If she breastfed them, that's interesting to hear because I've never heard of the white women breastfeeding the black kids. I will always hear stories about black women, slaves or whatnot, having to breastfeed massa and them children. Okay. So that's interesting if that was the case. So we learned that she's known them since they were kids. They would stay the night at her mom's house, obviously because the dad was so abusive or whatever. And from them being around each other so much as a kid, those two ended up developing feelings for each other. Stack and Mary. So they ended up developing feelings for each other, but they knew that they could not at that time. I believe it was like Clarksdale, Mississippi, 1932. So they could not at that time actually be, I guess, a couple. All right, Jim Crow South. You got this white lady and you got this black man. Like it's not gonna happen. But she's so damn entitled. I don't care what nobody say. I feel like this woman was very entitled, in my opinion. To me, I just felt like she was entitled, and as much as she was connected to the culture by way of the friends and her being so familiar with the twins and primarily roaming in the black spaces, she also didn't really read the room a bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, ma'am, they can't do necessarily what you do. Why is it not clicking for you? It was something about that. It was something about that for me. Like, do you hear yourself? Okay, talking about she waited for Stack. When he left, I waited for you and this, that, and the other, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, and he was telling her, like, we couldn't do this. And she was like, I ain't want to be white or whatever. All in all, okay, because I think she could have said that towards once they were at the juke joint or whatever. But she really wanted to be with him. She waited on him. She was talking about how, when he said, what I got to do to get you the hell on, I told you to go on about your business or whatever. And she was like, oh, really? Is that what it was? Because I couldn't tell when you stuck your pretty much your tongue and whatever else up in me. And you fucked the mess out of me and you was over there laying on my chest, this and that. And it's like, why are you being so loud? See, this is why it gives a little bit of Shannon Sharp, just a little piece, okay? Maybe not a whole lot, all right? Just maybe just a little piece. Because when I hear the black babies comment, but then at the same time, it's like, why are you being loud enough for these folks to hear you? For folks to know what y'all was over there. You about to get this man clapped, ma'am. It's giving you too loud. Be quiet. Why you so loud? Because you can't have your way. Why are you so loud? Okay. He's like, girl, calm down. Hush, like, chill. All right. So they're having a conversation more and more. He wants her to leave or whatever like that. She tells him that that she was there to bury her mom or whatever like that. You could tell in his eyes, he was sad. Like, dang, I hate that. You know what I'm saying? She was like, I guess she didn't mean that much to you. And he was like, yeah, she didn't mean, she was just like a bed to sleep in and a place to eat or whatever. So she's like, you go to hell, Stack or whatever. He was like, I bet I'm gonna go to hell, but I'm also say you a spot right there next to me. Okay, goddamn it. So that's what ended up happening with them, and she ends up supposedly catching the train, but we never really see her as catch the train because she really trying to run up behind this black man, and it didn't work out. Now what we do learn, well, I guess it did work out for her ultimately in the end, but what we did not know was that her mother's dad was black, I believe she said. Her mother's dad was black or half black or something like that. And so she says that that's part of her actual reality. I think I saw a clip of where she did say that was like a part of her reality. As she prepared for this role, Haley, she learned some things about her own stuff. It made her tap into her own stuff because I believe her granddad may be half black in real life or something like that. So she was able to connect more so to the character. And then I also noticed that, her look has kind of changed over the years. I feel like earlier on, she completely, no doubt about it, looked like a white woman, hands down. But over the years, her style has changed. I guess some people would call it a glow up. Her makeup has changed. Her hair has gotten, darker. And it makes one look like are you mixed with anything, or do you have anything in you? Da, 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 you know. So I think that look for her is a better look than what she used to look like. You know, I think she's a beautiful woman. I think yeah, I think whatever she's going for, it kind of works for her. All right. But it seemed like she's been doing it before she booked this role though. So y'all leave y'all thoughts on that. But I want to put a lot of what happened in the end on her, but I feel like I might be shifting a little bit of blame to somebody else. And if I don't, either I'm gonna blame it all on somebody else, or she not the only person wrong in this. Or you know what I'm saying? It's more than just her to be blamed. Now, next we ended up seeing like cornbread. This is where we get cornbread. Now, before we go to cornbread, I want to go back to Delta Slim, because Delta Slim, when they were in the car, you know, they drive past these prisoners or whatever. And he's like, get your heads up or whatever. And then Sammy's like, you know, some of them. So he starts telling a story about, you know, one of the guys that got caught up accused of R somebody's wife. It was a white wife, and how the mob or whoever came, lynched him, cut off his genitals, all of that stuff. And as they're telling this story, you can kind of hear the sound effects, you know, of the people screaming or whatever they're saying. And I'm just like, oh, he ate this. Okay. Mr. Ryan Coogler, baby, you got in your what's his Jordan Peele bag, just a piece. Like, baby, you ate this. And so Delta Slim started to, like, you know, he was telling this story, then he just was feeling it. He started singing. Now, I did see a clip where he talks about how he improved, you know, that scene or whatever, and the singing and stuff. And Ryan was going to cut it out, or at least he cut it out at first, and then decided, you know, after talking to um Delroy, I believe is his name, after talking to him, and he's like, listen, you know, this is kind of needed. So he kept a good portion of that piece. But I think he said a good bit of that was improv, or if not that, it was the song. But I think a good bit was improvised. So shout out to him for that. But let's get to cornbread. Cause cornbread out there in the field picking up that con with his wife when Stack decided to pull up. So he pulling up on him, need his help. Oh boy, like, listen, I'm not gonna get out there in them streets and deal with no shit like you, you know, deal with no shit like that with you or whatever. And then I think he says, I think Stack told him F you, and he was like, hey, don't talk like that. Like, this my wife. He said, fuck your wife too, child. That's crazy. He said, what you said, boy? He was like, listen, I'm just telling you, your wife probably gonna want to hunch on you once you see how much money, you know what I'm saying, you making, okay? And he was like, what? And he's like, you know, I'm just saying she might even let you ride or do this or that or whatever. Might even let you put your pecker in her mouth. Okay, once you see how much money you making. So, of course, cornbread about to beat his tail, because he's like, wait a minute, don't be running up talking crazy like that with my wife. I already told you, boy. So the wife said, well, wait a minute, how much money we talking? Girl, too funny. Too funny, okay? I mean, I was going to do that anyway, but if it's going to come with a little piece of change, then let me see what kind of money we talking. I know that's right, ma'am. So of course, he ends up hopping in the car with them, and they all get ready to head out. Now, this guy, I think his name is Omar, or is it Ben? It's one of the two. I think it's up there on the screen. I think his name is Omar. But listen, shout out to him, because when we left, I was you know, telling my husband, like, good for him, like, because I feel like I'm always seeing him in something, maybe every year, every other year. I feel like he's been out for a very long time. So to still be out here doing your thing and acting, him and the guy that plays a Delta Slim, like, shout out to y'all, because you really got to have a love, desire, dedication to really just stick with this up and down indecisive field of acting, you know, hoping that you get the right agent that's going to continue to push for you, hoping that you have enough talent to where everybody wants to work with you. And Delta Slim, definitely, okay, the guy that plays Delta Slim, definitely, I remember him from Crooklyn, baby. Okay, dang, he been looking old a long time. God, been a kid. Anywho, moral of the story is the man stay getting booked, and I love that for them. I love, 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 love that for them. Although I am a person that would love to see new faces. Like for me, Jami, I think her name is Jami. Can't recall her last name, but she plays Pearline. Never seen her before in my life. When I say a gorgeous girl, woman, and it's another one in here too, but I'm gonna wait till I get to her. But like, when I tell you the face cards in this fucking film, on point. Period. Okay. Gorgeous. Um, Yeah, so I love to see like new faces, like even the guy Sammy, never seen him before. I think this may have been his first acting debut. I believe he goes on the road with her. He sings with her, and I've heard that her, the singer, suggested or recommended to him, like, yo, or encouraged him at the least, you should audition for this film, and he got it. Crazy, ain't it? Like, girl, listen, y'all do y'all thing, honey. I love it. I love it. So Cornbread is with them. They all in the car. They all headed out or whatever the case is, right? So Smoke decides that he gonna pull up on his, I guess his estranged wife. Cause I don't think they were divorced or anything. I think he just left and skipped town or whatever. And he was gone for a long while, right? So he pulls up to her home, and when he leaves that, grocery store or whatnot, he leaves with flowers. He put the flowers on a grave, and he said, Papa's here. And when I heard that, I'm like, are you saying your papa is there? Because you told us the story about your dad being dead. So you took flowers to your father's grave. Come to find out, it was the child that they shared together. All right. So when they're in there, and, she has some little girls in there that she gives certain things to or whatnot, because she's, I guess, kind of like a witch herself. I'm not sure what they call them, not really familiar with that world in all honesty, but I think she has certain practices that she does, okay? And yeah, so she received some money from the girls, and he was like, man, put that money down, that money, and then I got money from you. She's like, I don't want your money. Your money come with blood. Like, I don't want that, baby. It did come with blood. And let me tell you something, a little bit of it does give, like, when you do wrong, right don't follow you, right? So y'all went down there to, or up there to Chicago. Y'all got these two people fighting against each other, these two clans or whatever, gangs or whatever, fighting against each other, going back and forth, going back and forth. Y'all done robbed and stole. And I'm sorry, her name is Annie. Let me get Annie up here. I'm so sorry. Because this is the other woman, okay, played by Wanmi. And when I tell you she's absolutely beautiful, whoo, that's a gorgeous woman. That is a gorgeous lady right there. And the acting, bitch, listen, her and Perlene was eating it. The face cards was tearing it up. I'm like, girl, y'all, ooh, the bone structure, I can't. Ooh, they some pretty ladies. But anywho, so yeah, so Annie, she was like, I don't want your money, you know what I'm saying? It come with blood. Like, what you talking about? Like, I know. And what I was getting to is the fact that y'all, when you do wrong, right don't follow you, right? So y'all went up there, y'all stole from them folks, got these folks beefing, coming down here and thinking that you're going to be able to live a lavish life off of things that you took from somebody else, only for one, y'all not even make y'all ends meet while you down there. Okay, only for the bloodshed to end up happening. Okay, so as much as people feel like Sammy's voice brings, like, he can summon uh a lot, okay, is what I'll say. Whether it's demons, angels, whatever, past, present, future, whatever he can summon with his voice, he can. I feel like so can poor behavior just a little bit, okay? Because y'all, that was that karma, that it was like it was given a karmic type of thing. Y'all been, because first of all, y'all name Smokestack Twins has been like connected to something negative for a very, very long time. And y'all had been gone, quote unquote, for 7 years, because he said 7 years ain't long enough for us to be missed. So I'm like, okay, so y'all was gone for 7 years. Is that what it was? And now y'all done finally schemed up on some money. Y'all done came back down here. And your name still supersedes y'all. So y'all was on some FS. Fuck shit. When y'all was down there, went up there to Chicago, still on some FS, and then came down here and think that things gonna continue to go. Nah. At some point, it was gonna catch up with you just a little piece, okay? So, what else? So when it came down to it, Smoke tried to act like when she said, I see you still wearing that mojo bag or whatever. Because first I think they talked about magic or something like that, about, because he said something like, I've never encountered no ghost. I haven't encountered this. I never had to run from that, this, that, and the other. As if he didn't really believe in the magic that she has, right? And so I hate that he acted like that. But anyway, that's just how he felt. But I thought it was interesting that he said, I never ran into this, I never ran into that. I feel like he was kind of downplaying her protection over him, because she talked about how much she protected him and prayed over him, this, that, and the other, and whatever magic she used. And he said, well, if it was all of that, why didn't it save our baby? She was like, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. Okay, I ain't got no answer for that. And when she touched his chest, just off of touching his chest, not the middle of his chest, but just the side, she knew that he still had that mojo bag that she made him. And so she's like, you still wearing that? So I find that to be interesting. You saying that you never ran into these problems or whatever the case was, but the whole time you was still wearing that mojo bag. So obviously you believe something. Okay, either that or you wore it as a way for you to keep her closer to you because you still had love for her or whatever. So, anywho, it seems like she's refilling and re-blessing and doing whatever she's doing to the mojo bag for him. And then in the midst of that, you know, he tells her how much he wants her to help them down at the joint, and she's kind of like hesitant or whatever like that. But eventually she gives in when she gives into that zick, honey. So they end up getting to kissing, touching, feeling up, rubbing up on each other, and get down hunching down there to the little house. Okay, so that's what they're doing, and I think this after this happens and everybody's about to get ready to head on over to the juke joint wherever they're going. I think this was when we may have been introduced to Remick. So let me go ahead and get him on the screen, okay? Now, when Remick comes on the screen, you can see him like it looks like he jumped from somewhere. Now, people are believing that Remick fell out of the sky. I personally do not believe that Remick was an angel falling from the sky. The reason why I do not believe that Remick was an angel falling from the sky is because the sun was beaming hard as hell. And if he cannot be out during daylight, how the hell he getting out the sky to fall? That's not making sense. I feel like he was running away because he probably was in a dark place, right? And got exposed by those Indians. Maybe he was hiding out somewhere where he had darkness. The Indians about ran up in there, which forced him to flee. And even as his skin is peeling due to the sun, he's running through the trees and stuff and probably jumped over something. That's what it was looking like to me. Not that he fell from no sky or something. He just jumped over something and ran to the house because he needs to get that shelter. So he gets to the door, child. And what I tell y'all, Remick played his character, baby. You did that, sir. I think he did a good job. Okay. Let's get to Bert and John. This is who house he went to. Bert and John. Let me put Bert down here. So he goes to Bert and Jones' house, and they answer the door, I believe, with their guns or whatever, because obviously they live out in the middle of nowhere. Like, who's coming to our house? So then he's like, oh my God, you know, some people are after me. I need some help. Oh my God, you know, they're trying to kill me or whatever. Oh my God, they got my wife. And he just crying and stuff like, oh my God, does that make me, you know, terrible or weak or whatever the case is? Because they end up getting my wife. Just like laying it on thick, child. So they end up letting this man in their house like a dummy. So then next thing you know, but they didn't know. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know. All they saw, honestly, was a white man that was in trouble. That's what they saw, personally. Okay? And it be your own people. It's so funny to hear Remick say to, okay, so at some point in the movie, and I'm jumping ahead because I don't want my thoughts to like not come back. So at some point in the movie, when Remick jumps into Cornbread's body, when he's trying to get back into the door, he tells him it be your own people. And it's so funny to hear you say that standing at the door when just earlier when you were at Joan and Bert's door, you know, you was the own people. They let you in. You saw the Klansman gear. So obviously the Klan still exists. So when the white man Hog, whatever that they met earlier that day, when the twins met him at the mill and he tried to say, oh, the Klan don't even exist no more. Kind of find out they do. And the gear is sitting right by the front door ready to go out at any moment, right? So it's funny that you say it be your own people when you are the one that goes into these people's house and you about to cause some terror. So when the Choctaw or the Indians or whatnot, when they get there, they're like, we're looking for a man, whatever. You know, he doesn't, you know, make out to be exactly what it is that he seems. So when the man sees the Klan's gear in the background, he's like, lets her know, like, God bless y'all. You know what I'm saying? The other guy sees the sun is going down, so he's calling out and he's like, yo, we got to get to going. He's like, all right, bet we finna go. We wish y'all the best. Oops, God bless you guys, because he knew they was going to get their neck bone chewed on. So then they leave. She calling for Bert. She been called for Bert. Been called for Bert. Bert never showed up, okay? Which I find to be funny because I feel like, girl, you know Bert would have been at that door. You know Bert probably would have been at that door the way he answered that door with you the first time. So she goes through her house. It's all dark and stuff. Opens up a door and she sees that her husband Bert is laying on the ground and Remick is over there in a rocking chair. Okay, covered in blood, child. And I think his eyes turned red. And she's like, what the hell? He was like, oh, he just sleeping. Child, ain't that crazy? Cause then when Bert ended up getting up, all she could do is scream. And really that's all you could do and just be ready to be chewed on because honestly, what else were you gonna do? You're out in the middle of nowhere. How far were you gonna get? You might as well just go ahead and just transform into what you need to be. Okay. So that's where we are. And let me tell you what I thought was so kind of dope in my personal was as she was screaming, they put the camera on Remick, and Remick is over there with a smile on his face, kind of laughing a little bit, and it fades into the moon as it goes tonight. When I tell you all I thought about was Michael Jackson Thriller, I said, oh, oh, this is so cool how you did that transition. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but I did. And I was like, okay, y'all did that. Okay, that was cute. So, anywho, when those three crows, as the Indians were leaving, as those three crows went and sat on their house, I was like, yeah. Them crows, one of them definitely knew that that is where the demon was or the devil, whatever. And not only did he know or did they know they were there, but also knew that the other two was going to be turned into them as well. So they already knew it was gonna be three dead bodies. So that's why those three crows. It was three crows for the three dead bodies that was already in there. I was like, okay. So anywho, um, they get to the meal or whatever, and it's party time, and everybody's hanging out or whatnot. Cornbread is watching the door and stuff. Everybody's there. Miss Perline done showed up, so you know Sammy all happy like, oh, you made it or whatever like that. What else? Annie is there. She's helping out with some stuff. So it was cool. Everybody was doing good, you know, talking, chit chatting or whatever like that. And then who walks up to the door? Miss Mary Mac. Mary ass supposed to have been on the train leaving, but instead of leaving on that midnight train to Georgia or wherever the hell she came from to get back to that husband, Miss Ma'am decided to run up behind Stack again. So of course, Cornbread is like, oh, whoa, 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 because he knew this was an establishment that was not supposed to be for whites. But once he realized who she was, he saw her as family and just decided to let her in. It's like, child, I guess. I guess. So he lets her in. And that's why I say I kind of blame him. I kind of blame Cornbread for what all happened. Just a little bit. I do. But I also feel like the entitlement of Mary would have made her still want to stay. Like it wouldn't have mattered. Because I feel like she wasn't gonna take no for an answer. Like the man literally told you to leave. And I think that's what was irritating me. It was like a little bit of the entitlement type. Like to me, in lack of a better word. So she comes in, even Sammy approached her like, whoa, like they don't really want you here. Like, I think you gotta go. She's like, boy, you don't get the fuck out my face. And I'm like, what? Okay. And so he says something else to her. And then she says, Sammy, aren't you old enough now? Or whatever like that. Little Sammy? Or whatever. So all it took was for her to go buy him a damn drink for him to forget the fact that she need to get the hell out. So everybody just saw her as a cool person and it's okay for her to be here or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I know I don't know. I guess, child. I guess. They let her stay. I mean, I don't think she had the worst intentions, is what I will say to me. I don't think she had the worst intentions. I do kind of fault Cornbread for manning the door. And instead of seeking out help the same way his ass seeked out help when it came to Remick now, he didn't go and seek out like, yo, is it okay if she come in? He just willingly just let her ass in. So I kind of blame Cornbread just a little bit because even though she was standing at the door and she was a familiar face, that don't mean that they wanted her in here. So let me just get permission. Let me just make sure because this ain't even my establishment. I'm just doing the job. Like, hey, y'all good? Because once she got in there, even Sammy was like, they don't want you here. You got to go. So I don't know. Maybe people saw something different. But when it came to them three white ones, it was like, wait. Hold. What you got? Somebody go get them. You couldn't do that for her just to be sure. But okay. So I kind of blame you for a little piece. Just a little bit. Because had she never been in there, we wouldn't have had none of this. None of it. Okay. So anywho, so Sammy ends up asking her like, "What are you?" And she was like, "Huh? What am I?" She was like, "Well, my mama's I think she said her granddaddy. I think it really was. I think her mom's dad was half black or whatever." Um, So they have a conversation, and then Smoke said, I think she tried to say, "Oh, and look at them. They can afford this whole juke joint, but they couldn't even give my mama no flowers or whatever for her funeral, yada yada yada." So then Smoke walked up and he was like, "Well, wait a minute, because we gave her plenty of flowers while she was alive, so don't even try to pull this stunt." All right. Then he goes over to his brother, like, "Oh, yeah, your girl here, you need to get her the hell up out of here. This ain't no establishment for her." So basically, they still did not want white folks in the building. They wanted this to be a place where the black people fellowship and had a good time or whatever the case. They still didn't want her there. So that's why part of me blamed cornbread ass, okay? For even letting her in. All because you felt like she was family to you. Okay. So then Mary and him have a whole exchange, and he's telling her that she's married, and she's like, "I don't care. I didn't ask to be married. I didn't ask to be white. I wanted to be with you. This and that. Da 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 da." And I'm like, yeah, yeah, we understand that you don't got a choice, but then also the black folks ain't got a choice either on how the laws are at the time, ma'am. What do you want him to do, ma'am? Ma'am, what do you want him to do? He ain't trying to get clapped. And then only for him to tell you that he cares about you. So that's kind of like why he stayed away or whatever like that. I think she said something. And he was like, what you want me to do? You want me to tell you that I love you? Or this, that, and the other? Which he did love her, he did care about her, but at the same time, to protect her and himself, like he knew they couldn't be together, so just go do your thing, right? But I don't know, it was a bit, I don't know. Anywho, so I believe Slim performed, and then I think that Sammy performed, and when Sammy was performing, he actually summoned the devil. Okay, the same ones, the Remick that was over there at the house that snatched up them white folks. Yeah, him and them white folks ended up making it right over there because it was his voice. Like when he was singing and performing, there was like a whole dance scene that started to at some point like transcend. It was crazy. It was dope. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying crazy as in like wow, because they showed like where it started in a sense, all these different like the Asian culture, the different cultures or whatever, Africans and just like they just kind of sent you through a story of time with the music, through the sounds and stuff, which I thought was super dope from past all the way up until present to show how we're all somewhat connected in some fashion. And at the end of it, it was like an image of the entire mill burning down, right? And once the mill kind of burned down, you could see Remick and his people in the distance, and that basically was them seeing um all the people that they can bring into their loving kindness community or whatever. And basically they felt like it was the voice of Sammy. So that's what they approached. They walked up there trying to get inside. So in the midst of them walking up about to get inside, after all the singing and stuff happened, he took Perline to the back. Okay. And he wanted to test some things out with Miss Perline. He wanted to eat that box. And Miss Perline was like, wait a minute, honey, because I got a bathe. I'm a little sweaty. And he was like, I just want to, what I'm saying? Just let me try something. I just want to try. But she obviously whatever he tried must have worked. Okay. And then Stat came back listening to the mess at the door. Child, it was a mess. But he ended up getting it in with the lady, all right? You had the vampires or whatnot, because that's what they ended up being, showing up to the door, Remick and Bert and Joan. And they asked them, if they could come in and stuff like that. And, we just here to spend some money with y'all or whatnot. So what y'all, can we come in and perform or whatever? And so Stack was like, where y'all from? Or no, I think Smoke asked where y'all from. And it was like, oh, we're just from up the road. That's what John said. And then Stack said, how far? Like, from where? And she told us, North Carolina. And I guess that's where they was from. But my thing is, bitch, that's not up the road. Is that what y'all used to say back in the day? Is that what the language used to be back in the day? Like, we from up the road? Like, is that what it was? The reason that I'm asking about, is that what y'all used to say back in the day, like up the road, meaning like 2-3 states over? Because sometimes, and nowadays, like when somebody be like, oh, I'm up the road, they really like 20 minutes away. And it's like BIT up the road for me is like less than 5 minutes. Like, are y'all okay? All right. So I said, we're from up the road. Like, girl, what's up the road? North Carolina? Oh, no. She lying already. She got to go. Thank you. No, no, no. Let her leave. Thank you. So what else ended up happening? I'm sorry this video is so long. Let me try to go ahead and get to the things. Okay, so at some point, of course, they don't let them in or whatever. Tell them they can't go. And these tell them, so we gonna walk real slow just in case y'all say we could come in later. First of all, they started singing for them and they weren't interested. Told them they still couldn't come in. They started walking slow, which was so hilarious. Okay. And they never left the premises. They literally still sat outside. They never left. Another, I don't know. I mean, the word that keeps coming to me is like entitlement, but I feel like I'm using the wrong word from that because I feel like Miss Mary did the same thing in a sense when she was told to leave. She like, boy, you don't get the fuck out my face. Like you have a right to be here. You're supposed to be here. Like, are you? No. Just because you feel connected. No. Same thing with them. They ain't go far. They went inside out. Okay. Anywho, so it's time for Perlene. Perlene gets up there. She starts singing. No. Before that. So they not gonna do no performing or whatever. No. Sammy and Smoke ended up having a conversation, and Smoke was pretty much trying to talk Sammy out of like singing and out of getting out here in the world and stuff like that. And Sammy just like, listen, I'm gonna do what I want to do. You and your brother went out there and did what y'all want to do. It's only right for me to get out there and do what I want to do. And you don't got no control over how it is that I move. So if that's how you feel, you might well kill me now. So of course, Smoke pulled a gun out like he was gonna really clap him, and he didn't. All right. All in all, we go to Miss Perlene. Miss Perlene done oh no, I think it's before we get to Perlene. So they go back to Smoke and I'm sorry, to Stack and Mary. They're talking. So Stack tells Mary like, man, we ain't even breaking even. We ain't making no money. He's like, she like, why? And he just telling her like, pretty much the people they got coming in there barely make anything anyway. So if they barely got coins, how they gonna have coins to give to y'all motherfuckers? Like y'all would have to probably open your establishment up to other people. I feel like that was a sign to show that a little bit of, how when people have a company and they may sell it to like a white person, or if they may make something that's for us or whatever the case, and they got to open it up to other people, I guess so that they can actually make money. And people may not like capitalism and all of that, but I feel like it's like as much as they may feel like they can't do SHI, or we could do a lot without them, it seems like to me they still need them, because it's like, okay, she's like, well, let me go outside and talk to them and see if, if we could do X, Y, Z and see if they'll be willing, because I could bring them back. Right? Now, granted, they could have stayed, they could have thugged it out, they could have still continued to not have them be a part of anything they had going on. But honestly, I just felt like when I think about it, if they not making nothing, how y'all gonna make something? For real, for real. Either that or you're gonna have to appeal to other black people that got it. So I mean, I don't know what to tell y'all. So anywho, he gives her a gun. She go outside. She has the conversation with them. They start talking. They start letting her know something about her being in pain or whatever. She's looking for love and kindness or whatever they just kept saying. And so she starts seeing his face drooling. Then his eyes turn green. So she jumps up real quick, like, oh hell no, like I'm about to go. All right. But she obviously didn't get up quick. Like first of all, she put the gun on them and then turned her back towards them. Like, are you okay? So of course he flew in the sky, went ahead and chewed on her neck bone and transformed her ass into a vampire. Girl, it was crazy. So once he flew into the air, they give us a shot, I believe, of Perlene. So Perlene starts singing and she's stomping and she doing her thing and everything, making all this noise. But they said she was singing about, I guess, the sun going down and not coming up or whatever the case. So it seems like she was singing events that were about to happen. Miss Perlene. Now, it was interesting because as she was over there stomping and everybody was stomping and doing their things, it was a man that was over there getting stomped the hell out. I think that could have been the man that sliced the other dude in the face, right? So they doing all of that. And of course, Miss what's her name? Mary goes to the door. She trying to get inside. Cornbread, you gonna let me in or you just gonna stand there? So he's like, oh, okay, how you get out here? Yeah, go ahead and go in. So he lets her back in. And it's like, what do you mean? How did she get out there? You didn't see her walk right past you to go out there to see them? I guess. But anywho, he let her back in. And so she goes up to Stat, gives him those 2 coins or whatever like that. And she was like, oh, well, you could go ahead and tell he said you could go ahead and tell them they can come in, but they only can do one song or whatever like that. And so before he did that, she ended up kissing him. And he's like, whoa, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Because again, he ain't trying to get clapped. He ain't trying to get no word spread, no nothing. So then she was like, oh, so you can steal this and that from the men up in Chicago, but you can't steal this. I said, no, she did. So they went into a room. They over there hunching, getting it in, doing their thing, right? Well, because it was drama and stuff that happened in the back, people getting stomped out, fine, cut, whatever. Stack is telling Sammy to go get his brother. Sammy walks in, sees the brother in the middle of it, goes back and say, yo, he kind of doing something. Smoke said, I don't give a damn what he doing. I told you to go get him. He said, well, I ain't finna be in the middle of interrupting that. So he goes to, Smoke goes to get Stack. But once he look at the door, he sees that Cornbread has left. He done left, and he left drunk Slim to sit up there and man the door. So while Cornbread is outside trying to take a piss, he's hearing whisperings. And baby, when somebody said, it's that Cornbread, when I tell you, I cackled. Because they was finna chew on Cornbread's neck bone, like it was Cornbread itself. So, of course, we already knew he was finna get got, right? So you got Slim sitting there, and then that's when Smoke, because Smoke was like, he left and he decided to let your ass wash the door. Like, what the hell going on? So as soon as he opened the door, baby, his brother Nick getting chewed on, okay? I'm talking about she buying chunks for life. So as soon as he sees what's happening, he pulled out the gun. Baby, I didn't know if he was going to get him out quick enough. Fire, 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 fire. Hit her with the fire. She fell out. She gets up, start laughing, and said, I'm going to kill all y'all. And runs out the door, honey. Crazy. Crazy. Child, and that was the turning event for real of the movie, for the set the tone for the rest of the movie. So Stack then got killed, and at some point, as much as Smoke didn't want to leave him, they had to leave him and lock him in that room. And they got everybody out, which they probably should not have done, but they didn't know. They didn't know what was happening. Right? So they done pretty much sent everybody out to become their enemy in some fashion, which probably was the best thing for them, because if they would have kept everybody in there, somebody else or multiple people was going to risk all of them getting killed for real. So it really was better to have a smaller number of people in there versus all those folks. And so once they get people out, that's when Cornbread decided to come back to the door, trying to get inside. And he's like, what's going on? How you get all that blood on you? And he was like, Smoke dead. Stack dead. Where the fuck you been? This is what Smoke is saying. Stack dead. Where the fuck you been at? And so he was like, I had to go use the bathroom. I guess I had to do a little piss pee too. Or whatever like that, right? And so, okay, cool. I go pick that up. But anywho, and so, let me tell y'all something. Annie, that's my bitch. Girl, I love you, girl. So Annie, played by Wannabe, she thought that he was a Hank. She thought it was a Hank. So when Cornbread kept trying to get inside the door, she was like, wait a minute. She was like, why are you standing at the door? You've been in and out this door all day. Why you won't let yourself in? Like, why do you need our permission to let you in? Why your big, hefty, big back, whatever she said, ass can't push past this door? And he was like, I don't even know why I'm talking to you anyway, and he said something about him being outside, probably having to take a shit because of that nasty food that she cooked. And I feel like he was trying to egg her on in the effort to get her out the door, or to have him come in the door so that he can bite her, right? And so, of course, Smoke took heed, and Smoke was like, yeah, you've been acting weird all day. You've been manning this door, coming in and out all day. So why all of a sudden you got to stop it? You ain't for me to let you in when you could just come on in. What kind of stuff is that? So he was like, yeah, nah, we ain't letting you in. So then he turns around. He was about to walk off. He turns around and said, well, can I at least get my money? And baby, he didn't reach for his money. He had his money like this. Hand like this. I said, no, you didn't. So Smoke getting ready to pull the money out, and he said, be careful. Be careful, baby. So he pulls the money out and puts it in his hand, and I knew that man was gonna grab for it. But I feel like Smoke did that to see if he really was a vampire, because he still kind of don't know what's going on, kind of like hesitant. And because, when he was talking to Annie earlier, it seemed like he still didn't believe in some of that stuff. Because he says he's never been attacked by ghosts, monsters, whatever it is, right? He's never had that experience before, even though she believes in magic and feels like he should be protected, right? So when he gives him the money, of course, baby, snatches his arm, trying to bite him, and baby Smoke was quick, shot him in the face. Smoke falls on the ground, and the baby, the sound effects, the way that, like, they literally had Cornbread get up like he was a giant. The way that he slowly got up and stood up over him, it was like he was a giant with a disfigured face. Like, it was crazy, but they did a phenomenal job with this. And so, of course, everybody was able to grab Smoke and bring him back into the door, even though, Cornbread was still grabbing for him, right? So they slammed the door or whatever. So, child, that was good. Annie was on point. Annie was on point. Now they go to the I think they go to the back of the door. I think once the door closed, I think that's when Stack started knocking on the door. I think that's what happened. I think Stack started to knock on the door. I can't remember if it was or did she try to leave earlier? Or did she try to I can't remember, but let me say this. Okay. So there was a moment when the Asian woman Grace was like, "Baby, we should leave. We should leave. We gotta go. We gotta go." And so he was like, "I thought we was here to, like, what do you mean we gotta go? I thought we was here to help." She was like, "Yeah, we were supposed to help them, cooking stuff or whatever, or do the sign. Like, we wasn't here to help them with this." Okay? Meaning, child, I don't fuck with folk like that for real, but I don't really fault her too much because she didn't want to die and she didn't understand she wanted to leave. So I get you wanting to leave and save yourself. But honestly, the best place for y'all was inside. Okay. So he leaves to go crank the car up and get the car ready for her. And we already know what was going to happen once he got out the door, child. It was crazy. But anywho, so Annie tells them, especially after she realized that they were like vampires, the Asian lady was ready to get the hell out of Dodge, right? Stack wakes up. Stack knocks on the door. Sammy goes, listen to the door like, "Stack, is that you?" Okay. He puts a knife through the door, right? So y'all let me out. And then, of course, Smoke goes to the door like, "Is that you?" He wanted to let him out. He wanted to let him out, or whatever the case was. And so Annie was like, "These ain't no damn Hanks. These vampires," okay? That made me think about Martin when him and Gina went on that vacation and it was like a little animal or something there. He was like, "That ain't no damn squirrel," or whatever it was. That's what it made me think of. And so she was like, she ran. Soon as she realized that they were vampires, she ran to go make some garlic water. So when Smoke decided he was gonna let Stack out, he was like, "Give me the key." But before he could let him out, he bust through the damn door and fell on top of old boy. Fell on top of Sammy, child. Not the whole day. It just fell on Sammy. So then soon as he ran out that door, my girl Annie was quick. She threw that garlic water in his face, burning his face, and he couldn't do that but open that door and run outside. Okay, ran right on out there with his dang old people. So shout out to him. So that's where, it got crazy. So Slim and Sammy talk at some point. So Annie tells him, first of all, how they're going to have to kill these vampires. She talks about how we're going to have to kill these vampires. This is what you got to do. You got to drive a stake through their heart and something like that's the way to kill them or whatever. And so, of course, Smoke is like, "Dang, I kept this boy kept him alive this whole time only for him to die tonight. Like, why? Like, why?" So he's having a hard time with this. And Sammy thinks that it's because of him, because my daddy told me if I keep dancing with the devil, he going to follow me home or whatever. So I feel like that's what's going on. Grace's husband shows up. Okay, now first of all, at some point in the movie, they're screaming because the dude that got sliced in the face is on the ground. They're gonna take him outside because they think that he's a vampire. Come to find out, he wasn't a vampire. It was unconscious, all right, or either drunk. So he ends up getting chewed up by Cornbread once he came to trying to get back inside, and he couldn't get inside. And so he ended up getting turned, and that was pretty much it. Grace's husband walks up to the door while old boy is chewing on the dude's neck bone. And so he's like, "Baby, come on, I got the car warmed up. Let's go." And she's like, "But he's killing him." He was like, "Oh, you talking about that? That ain't nothing." So his eyes start changing a different color. He starts talking to his wife. They almost convinced her to go outside and they snatched her back. Of course, Remick walks up and he's over there talking about harming her daughter. And he starts speaking to her in their language and stuff. And it was a mess, but they ended up snatching him inside, closing the door. Now, at one point, Sammy was really sad and felt like he's the reason that this is happening. And Slim tells him that, like, don't worry about nothing. Like, in order for them vampires to get to you, they got to go through me. Okay. And you know what? Slim wasn't lying, because at some point in the film, Slim does sacrifice himself in so many words. He does sacrifice himself. He cuts his arm at some point, letting the vampires, smell the blood come towards him, and he gets chewed up. So he occupied them at some point of the movie where he tried to let the others escape. Right. So anywho, Stack tries to get everybody is coming to the door trying to get somebody to either let them in or to come the hell out. One or the other. Remick even tells what's his name? Remick even tells Smoke that, I got the memories of Bert. And Bert is the nephew of old boy that sold y'all this sawmill. So guess what? It was never over. All right, like the clan was never over. They very well existed, and they were planning on killing y'all anyway. So you might as well just come on over here to us, to my side, where we can love on you, protect you, or whatever the case is, or whatever. So we got, we could be one big happy family type thing, and we could go get them back. Okay, I ought to go teach him a lesson. We could go get him. Just trying to convince people to come out the door. Stack even came up trying to convince him to come out the door. Now, there was a time where Stack was like, he's not lying. He's telling the truth, this, that, and the other. And that is key for me because I'm wondering at the end of the movie, when Smoke kills all those clanmen, I could not recall when and how he knew they were going to be returning and on what day. For him to be so prepared for them. So what I'm believing is at some point in the movie, right, Grace is really tripping over her daughter. She's upset. She wants them to come in. She wants to save her daughter basically from becoming a vampire. So while they're all in there, and I understand that a little bit, and that's why I was like, Grace, I could beat your ass because you pretty much told him to come on. Now, Michael or Smoke's character, Smoke was trying to cover her mouth. She bit this man. I would have punched that hole on her face and I would have threw her outside. Okay. They could get you, bitch. Okay. But anywho, she's like, come on, motherfucker. So, of course, Remick hears that. That was the cue. So, everybody's getting loaded up. She over there getting her fireball and getting ready and all of this. It was just a mess. And I really hated that. So, so they come inside, and then of course there's this whole fight, and then everything's happening or whatever. Remick's trying to bite people or whatever. Unfortunately, Annie is bitten because she kept telling her fate though. Her fate kept telling her she was gonna turn. She had already told Smoke, if I turn, put me out my misery and go ahead and stab me through the heart. Like I got somebody on the other side waiting on me, and we'll be over there waiting on you too when you're ready. Okay, so that ended up happening, and so the brother ended up chewing on her, and it's like, how dare you? Like that was so messed up. But I also feel like he despised Annie a bit too. I feel just a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if you despised her because of the competition of love that your brother had for you versus her or something like that, or that your brother can exist in a world with her whereas you couldn't with your girl or something. I don't know what the hell was going on with him. But yeah, he didn't have to do that. That was hurtful. So he stabbed her. I mean, he chewed on her neck, turned her into one. And what I thought was interesting was how things slowed down at that point. When Smoke got over there to Annie, he was about to go ahead and stab her. And all the vampires that should have been chewing on people, if you look in the background, they all was just standing around watching. Like, what? Like, was he able to command the respect of you guys at that time or something? But anywho, stabs her through the heart. Of course, Miss Mary is like, Annie, no. And then next thing you know, you have Stack who snatches. And this was perfect opportunity for anybody to jump on the back of Smoke and kill him. So I don't know what kind of control Smoke had over Debo and the vampires. I'm not sure. But then you have Stack grabbing up Mary and saying, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So they all run out together. Okay. So once Annie is killed, that is when what's his name? Slim. That's when Slim is trying to get everybody out, trying to get them away. And that's when he try to, distract everybody. But what I was trying to get at with the vampires and stuff, there is a time, or more so the final episode. I keep saying final episode, but the final part was when I was just wondering, how did Stack know that those people were going to come? Now, there was a time during all of this mayhem happening before Annie was killed and when Grace called them in where she says, Smoke, they can feel what it is that he feels, right? So once she told him that, it took me to when Remick told Smoke The Klansmen don't exist. This is his nephew. I get all their memories, whatever the case is. So if they can feel what you feel, do they also get your memories and the memories of others that you have killed? Because how did again Smoke know that they were coming there? So I'm starting to think, in my opinion, is that his brother told him. And maybe he didn't get the memories. Maybe it was just something he knew based on what Remick told him. But I feel like Smoke learned from Stack that those Klansmen were going to be coming and what time they were going to be coming in an effort to go ahead and do away with them. Because I don't remember them saying exactly when he was coming. I just knew that they said that they were planning on killing you anyway. So I don't know, but y'all let me know in the comments. All right. So once they're upstairs and they're about to get out the door, and what's his name? Smoke is like, go, 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 go. Remick is coming through the door, child. Remick comes through the door. He trying to get at Sammy, and he's trying to get at a Smoke. When he's trying to get at Sammy, Perline ends up trying to, stab him or whatever, and he ends up chewing on her. She tells Sammy to run, baby. Sammy, I didn't even know they was upstairs on the second floor. I didn't realize that I thought it was gonna be something that led to some more stairs. But no, he ran out that window and fell and hit that damn floor, baby. It was crazy. Next thing you know, as he's walking, trying to get to the water and stall out till daylight, baby, Remick catches up with him. Next thing you know, Smoke and Stack are fighting. This is why it was so good, because it looked like two brothers literally fighting each other, not realizing that these two are played by one character. And I'm sure he had a photo double, a stand-in, whatever. I don't know how y'all did that, but when I tell you everything was on point and I didn't see a blemish, for me, it was great. It was great. So they're having this whole fight scene, and then once Smoke finally gets Stacked down, he's about to, stab him through the heart. And he says, I'm sorry I didn't always protect you. And then the brother said, don't worry, you always did. That's what Stack told him, like, don't worry, you always did. So then Remy, so while they're having that going on, that discourse, we never see Stack get killed by Smoke, though. But what we see is in the water, we have all of the vampires coming surrounding the water. You have Remick over there talking to Sammy, talking about his voice and how good it is, how he summons people, this, that, another, whatever the case is, right? And let me also highlight this. Let me go back to Smoke and Stack. Although Smoke was not willing to believe in the mojo that Annie made for him, that mojo was still protecting him, because even when Stack had opportunities to bite him, he couldn't, because that mojo bag wouldn't let him get closer. It was either the mojo bag he had on or those 2 silver coins that he was wearing. It was one of the two, and they can't take silver, so it was one of the two. But either way, he was being protected somehow. But fast forward, Remick is over there literally baptizing Sammy ass in the water. And I just was laughing a little bit, because I'm just like, oh, child, I forgot all about the little dance that Remick did before all of this happened. Before they were called to come inside, they go outside and they start doing this little chanting, dancing, doing some type of Irish dance. This man over here doing all kind of kicks and shit. And it was a mess. It was funny, though. This was a good film. It had some jump scares in it. It had some not so much as like, oh my god, I'm afraid. Like, not like that. It had some jump scares, and it was just funny and suspenseful. Like, it was dope. But he baptizing a boy, and then Sammy over here trying to do his scriptures and stuff, and then you got the demon saying the scriptures with you. Like, you talking to me like I don't already know this. Like, I wasn't human before. Like, I wasn't a part of that life as well. Like, you talking to me like I don't know. I come in all forms, and I'm finna finesse you. I might know the word better than you know the word. Okay? And he's repeating it with him. And I was like, oh Lord. I said, Lord, you in trouble now. I'm a little concerned, but I know it ain't gonna end like this. I just know it ain't gonna end like this, because the day before we already saw that you're gonna survive, right? So he's finally able. First of all, the man scratches him across his face, leaving him like 3 or 4 deep scratch marks across his face. He reaches for the guitar, hits him in the head, and the silver metal plate gets stuck in his head, and he's like, shit. Like, it was just so funny. And of course, all the vampires are feeling what he's feeling, right? So at some point, Smoke finally gets in the water, and Smoke stabs him from the back through the heart. That is what set everything off. People started to melt away. The sun started to rise again, and that was interesting. All right. So that ended up happening. Then we fast forward to Once Sammy makes it back to the church, the whole conversation with the dad, all of that, or whatever the case was, right? So that ended up happening. And then we go back to that moment where they're at the sawmill, right? Well, before Sammy leaves, he's helping Smoke unload some things, right? And he wants Sammy to get rid of that guitar or the guitar piece. And he's like, no, I can't do that, because it was, this famous person had it. And he said, boy, that thing belonged to her. At first he said, who told you that? Who told you that it belonged to that person? And he was like, your brother did, Stack. He was like, man, that nigga know he lied. Like, that was our daddy's. Okay. But either way it go, I think he felt like that was something that may have potentially saved his life that night, or whatnot, and he just held on to it, so he never let it go. But later on we see where Smoke is setting up shop. He's getting ready. We didn't really know that he was getting ready, but the Klansmen pulled up and they go up to the sawmill trying to open it, telling them it's locked, and they were acting like they were shocked, like it's locked. And I'm like, but if somebody else owns it, why would it be locked? Did you just give it to him without no locks on the door? So you were surprised that it was locked on the inside? Now, some people were thinking that Stack was inside that sawmill. And that is why Smoke clapped all those Klansmen to protect his brother. And I fully disagree. I do not believe that Stack was in that building at all, because again, Stack feels what that vampire feels if he's in close proximity, right? So therefore, if that was the case, Stack would have melted right along with everybody else. I think that night Stack was able to get away because Smoke set him free. In my opinion, I think that he ran and he went and he caught up with that girl, and they just ran off into the night. Potentially. Now, granted, it could be that Stack was in there, considering the fact that the sun was going to be shining soon. Right? Because as soon as they killed the man, the sun came out again. So maybe he did lock his brother up in there, but did he lock his brother up in there with the girl, or just locked him in there to protect him, to keep him from getting killed? I don't know. I kind of don't think so, because I would think that he probably died and melted away like everybody else did, because they sense whatever that head vampire was sensing, is what I would think. I think that he locked it as a distraction for them to not be able to go inside and use it as cover or anything like that. You sold me a place that don't got no locks on it or whatever, so let me put some locks on it. That's probably why they was probably, well, it's locked. Yeah, shot that first fire and just kept shooting. Now he does get shot eventually, and I'm glad he saved all his rounds of bullets for the last guy, the one that sold them the damn meal. Now he does, once he gets shot, he falls to the floor. He does have a moment where he sees Annie in the afterlife with their child. He wants to hold the baby, but right before that, the man says something to him, and he just put them bullets in him. Then he holds his child. I felt like he was in the middle of two worlds. People think that Smoke died, but I don't think Smoke died. I think he was unconscious, and I think he was in between both worlds, because at no point did we see him we didn't see him with the same background as Annie, and we did not see him in his all white clothing. He still was able to hold his child in the life that he was in. So that makes me think that he was hallucinating, or he was unconscious of some sort. He was in a dream. But I do believe that he was alive. And I don't know how long he may have laid there before night fell, and his brother probably came and helped him or something. But if they were to do a Sinners 2, if Michael B. Jordan is up for the task again to do this twin thing again, then I would like to see both of the twins alive in different places in their life. And it kind of makes me think about this. Remember how with the snake, first of all, the white man made them run late, so they had no choice but to split up. So it seems like Smoke went to go handle some of the day events for the night stuff, right? He went to go do that. Meanwhile, you had Stack over there preparing for the night by getting all the performances and people and whatever the case is. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see them both exist in two different worlds, in a sense where Smoke is able to go out during the day and Stack is able to handle business at night, and somehow they still come together at some point. But all in all, I kind of feel like they both still alive. It's just unfortunate that if Smoke is alive, he doesn't have Annie. But then he gets to watch Stack live out a forever life with his partner, the white girl, because at some point there's like an after scene credit where Sammy is an older guy in like 1992. I think he was in Chicago. He was performing at his, I guess, blues location called Perline or whatever. And so after hours, Stack and Mary walk in, have a chat. That's when we learned that Stack said Smoke promised him to never kill Sammy and let him live out a life. So he promised his brother that. So that's how I also feel like, to know that y'all had that conversation to where you could promise your brother that. That's where I feel like you told your brother and gave him a heads up that these Klansmen were going to come there. And you probably left him alive to give some, one, that's your brother. And number two, to get the vengeance on them, to like clap them or something. And because your brother had the upper hand and could have killed you that night. Okay, so y'all probably made some promises to each other at the time. I don't know. But yeah, and then there was an ending credit where we see Sammy in the church playing his guitar, and you can make whatever you want to make from that. Some people, I don't know what they really think about it. An article said people think that he's in the afterlife or something, but I don't think so. I mean, because he didn't die at that age. But he did talk about when Stack and Mary came to visit him, he said, for one day we were free. Same thing he told his dad, like, I just want to be free for one day. He says, so just for one day, I was free before all of that happened that night. He says he wakes up paralyzed every week from that. Do you think about that often? And of course, Stack is like, I do, because that's the last time I saw the sun, and it's the last time I saw my brother alive. Right? So, child, it was a good film. It was a good film, girl. I done sat up here and gave y'all all this detailed, extra long, hour and a half or whatever type chit chat about it. I may have missed some parts, please forgive me, and may not have expounded on others, but you guys are welcome to have this conversation down below. I'm Jami, that's me, and of course I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, tell him I preach to the choir, stand with my feet to the fire, give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATL, got them trying to clone me like Aegis. Game time, I invaded gym, high elevated, I can face the rim. Putting shots up, I got laser focus, about to take it over, I'm Invader Zim. On a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man, they say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasting film, I can feel it.